I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Ashenspire-Mariners at Perdition's Loghthouse from the album Speak Not of the Laudanum Quandary.
Why is everybody so long-winded?
This is like a Puritan book title.
Yeah.
For goodness sakes.
Yeah.
For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. And there, as far as getting a song reviewed, dear listener, there's multiple ways that you beautiful people can get a song reviewed. My favorite is the community option. Now, we initially started out Patreon because, as you'll notice with other reaction channels, and much respect to them, they're awesome. You'll see that they'll cut it up every 20 to 30 seconds. The reason they do that is that they're able to monetize the video. When you play the thing straight through without any cuts like what we do, you get a nifty little report from YouTube where YouTube informs you that the record label is taking all of your ad revenue. So you probably, before you saw this video, you probably saw a little ad on the TV or whatever. It's probably Joe Biden struggling through, a pre-written statement or whatever. We don't support or we're not for or against Joe Biden. But the fact of the matter is that that's how YouTubers make money. It's on ad revenue. Well, when you listen to a song straight through, they take all your ad revenue. If you listen to a song straight through with the official video, they block it. So that's when, somebody suggested Patreon as an idea to compensate for that. So basically the deal between us and the channel is, hey, we'll play them uninterrupted, and then, people support the channel starts at $1. So once you put $1 in there on Patreon a month, then what ends up happening is that you get sucked into an alliance, and many of them are genre specific, and then that influences what we listen to. Yep. Now, if you don't want to be part of an alliance and you don't want to haggle with a group or a team and all that stuff, and you just want your song listened to, there is a fast track option. It's a partner tier. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You can do that at PayPal, vinandsorimerch@gmail.com, or you can jump onto the $125 Patreon tier. If you do that 3 times, you get bumped down to the $75 option, etc., etc. So that is what our good friend, what's the name of the big homie?
I'm sorry, it's Marco, but...
Marco. That's what our good friend Marco chose to do, and so that's why we're listening to this band. And I really like it because if it weren't for these guys, there's a lot of bands that I wouldn't have heard of before.
Wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to experience.
Yep. So much respect, and Marco, thank you for your patience. Now let's listen to some Mariners at Perdition's Lighthouse. Let's go.
Stolen oars from slaves a world away.
hear the bass.
As pretty as syphilis, there's no vindicating this. As pretty as syphilis, there's no vindicating this. As pretty as syphilis, there's
Pretty as syphilis.
as pretty as syphilis, there's no vindicating this. As pretty as syphilis, there's no vindicating this. As pretty as syphilis, there's no vindicating this. They look crucified on Ferris beams, ribbons pounding into a freaking corpse. And 1,000 years of crawling at fingers, grasping in earnest and saline rags. Whole morning stars singing dissonance to lightning coils at the beacon's head. As infants to scale the peaks of refuge, to scrape the last bits of life, the bacon for dregs of flesh that cling to bones cast off from Zion. Oh, morning stars singing dissonance, on first for an onerous dawn. An aria in an oppressive key, a total begging in that solid void.
I hated this song when it started, but I loved it by the end.
This is a band that I think you were in bed or something and you're like, I wish I could clone myself. Mm-hmm. This is a band who, if I had the superpower of cloning myself, I would take this entire album and read it probably 11 times straight, front to back.
Full disclosure, because that sounded really weird when you said that.
Why?
I was in bed because I wasn't feeling good. I said I wish I could clone myself so I could cook myself a nice meal.
I don't know.
You were like, you were in bed. You wanted to clone yourself. It just sounded... Anyway.
What?
Let's just carry on.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know. You wanted to clone yourself so you can make yourself something to eat and still
Yeah,
be
well,
there.
most people aren't probably thinking that if I'm in bed and saying I'd like to clone myself.
Well, what else would they do?
What else do we do in our bed?
Yeah, but why would you clone yourself in that?
It could be interesting.
I don't even think the comment section will agree with you on that one. But anyway,
Going.
somehow you found a way to get there. But
Oh my lord!
when a person's determined to get someplace, they're gonna
wow.
get there. But yeah, like I would love to be able, because it's only 7 songs, but I would love to be able to like dig into this lyrically and piece it together because it's extremely intricate.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, what's that band, Funerary Dirge of the Violinist?
Yep.
What was the name of that band?
I don't remember, but
Violinist. Who was that? What band was that? That was Karak Ongren.
No wonder I didn't remember.
Yeah, like vocally, the guy sounded like almost like exactly that guy. Let me see. Maybe this
Honest
is
to goodness, when it started, I was like,
is this
what
a side project?
is this? And then as it kept going, I just started liking it more and more.
All right,
and more.
who's the vocalist for the band? Because they sound like exactly the same. Like it's uncanny. Karak Ongren, and then what's the name of this band? Ashenspire. Mm-hmm. Let me see if they're related at all. Are these related? I guess not. But anyway, I love the vocal style. It sounded very, very desperate, and it sounded lyrically. This guy, I don't want to say he's Danny Filth level because I've only seen one song from this guy, but lyrically, I love this guy. I had to pay so much attention, like you couldn't really take a break lyrically to see where this guy was going, and then sonically they sounded really good too. That's why I would just want to read through the lyrics by themselves without the music, and then go back and listen to the music again. This is like one of those records where I feel like, you got to study. You got to study, because if you don't study what he's saying, you're gonna miss out on it. And I think that like that's important to get it, for me anyway.
Do you have any idea what it's about?
Yes. Well, I have guesses, but how could one say? It's just one song. But okay, so here's what did you get from it first? Let's try that.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I just pictured people on like a ship, and like it's really, really horrible, and that they're forced to do all of this stuff that they don't want to do. But it actually, to me, sounded like purgatory. Like you're stuck somewhere and they couldn't escape it. Yeah, it just sounded just that's just how I was thinking of it.
So,
But I don't know.
let's see here. So if you start Mariners at Perdition's Lighthouse. So Perdition is Perdition means destruction. Jesus calls Judas the son of perdition in John chapter 17. None has been lost except for the son of perdition, so that the scripture might be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And then in Revelation it talks about the 7 beasts, and then one goes into perdition, yada yada yada. Perdition means destruction, and it in the most literal sense. And then in the Western world it kind of became construed to mean hell. Mm-hmm. Going into perdition is now you're going to hell. Mm-hmm. Because it's attached to Judas and the beast. So obviously. So Mariners at Perdition's Lighthouse. So it would be, the dock workers for hell, basically, like before you end up in hell or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But it starts with Mariners at Perdition's Lighthouse with bludgeoning smog raised from slumber to yet more grinding hours, discord in the deep, invincible holy oil. So this, to me, the first stanza is about the destruction of the environment, right? So you've got bludgeoning smog raised from slumber, yet more grinding hours, discord in the deep, invincible holy oil. You know how you have these oil spills in the water? A glass of tar to a drowning man. You figure the guy's drowning and then you give him a glass of tar to rescue him.
Yeah.
But I think in that, they're personifying the drowning man as the earth itself.
Oh.
Right? Or if you really wanted to get ironic, the drowning man is the ocean itself. And then they're feeding it tar because the ocean is drowning on tar, basically. It's killing the ocean. It was very brilliant.
Yeah.
Very brilliant lyricism. Welding soul and iron, the shipyards, which is interesting because we've got this thing called Bath Ironworks up there.
Yeah.
So you're working with iron, but you're dealing with human beings, and so you're sort of, contracting with these people, and they're grinding all day. Probably some workers' rights issues there. Welding soul and iron, swallowing will make arsenic eaters of us all because you're poisoning the water, right? Swallowing blight to bear its burden, hey, this is the cost of progress. Broken mariners building arcs from the whale's rusted ribs. That's brilliant.
Well, I didn't understand that because I literally was picturing a whale, and a whale doesn't have rusting ribs. So, he's using the whale for the ship. Or?
So, like Noah's Ark, right? Is this giant ship that was used to preserve human beings from this catastrophic natural disaster. So these guys are working in a shipyard, and they're broken mariners, and they're building these arcs from the whale's rusted ribs. Now, you figure if you had this beached whale and all you saw was like its dead body, the cadaver, whatever. So he's using that as a metaphor for the boats that they're building, because the boats that they're building are creating the disaster that the ark was designed to save them from.
I see.
Stolen oars from slaves a world away. It's that first, I was like, okay, the first stanza, I'm like, I think I got a pretty good handle. We're talking about how we're destroying the planet, and it's, I've always, I was listening to a guy, this is actually true, and I would commend this to a lot of people. He was talking about how he ended up in Special Forces. He went the Army route. And so people are like, why did you go the Army route? Why didn't you go Navy SEAL? And the guy basically said, look, if something happens and you don't pass buds, they stick you on a ship. Like, there are not very many cool jobs in the Navy, especially if you're a pipe hitter, especially if you want to fight and you don't make it into SEAL. I mean, you can do SWIC or whatever, but so basically, the guy said, I joined the Army because, hey, you can go to Ranger School, you can do this, you can do that, and this guy, he didn't go to the Army because he was soft and he couldn't make it, because he made it to the most prestigious unit, in my opinion, in the world. The SEAL guys will say it's Dev Group, but it's really not. It's really not. Anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about. So the point is that he was just like, I couldn't do the Navy thing. It's just too depressing. You just work on a boat and all, you stick you on a boat, and I agree. I could never do that. I could never do that.
Oh, I feel so sick.
And it's like, look, David Goggins, he washed out of SEAL training twice, but it wasn't because he quit. It's because he got injured. He dislocate a shoulder, which happens a lot. And he the last time he was in, he almost didn't make it, and because he had two broken knees, and he was going through butts. And the only reason that he made it, and that was his last opportunity, it wasn't because he was a quitter. David Goggins runs 120-mile marathons, on foot, literally. So it's not because he's a quitter. He almost killed himself running. But it was because, if your body cannot stack up to it, then you're out. So the only reason he made it was because somebody died in training. So they had to cut the training short because somebody actually died in the pool. So
gracious.
My point in saying that is like, you know, so the point is simply like this. It's very depressing. The whole concept of like working on a shipyard to me is completely depressing, not very exciting, mundane, horrible labor, and it just has this kind of gray feeling to it. And so like I felt like they captured that really, really well. You know, it's amazing, amazing lyricism. Then he says, as pretty as syphilis, there's no vindicating this. Brilliant line. Brilliant line. What were your thoughts on that line, that's pretty as syphilis?
It's not pretty at all. It's a disease. It's horrible.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool because, you know, that's kind of a rap line. That's a rap line almost.
4 to 10 weeks after initial infection.
Yikes.
Ew, yikes. That's gotta be very uncomfortable.
They, the crucified on Ferris beams, rivets pounding into arthritic palms, and 1,000 years of cruel ringed fingers grasping in earnest at saline rags. O morning star, sing in dissonance to lightning coils at the beacon's head. As infants to scale the peaks of refuse, to scrape the last threads of life, the pitiful dregs of flesh that cling to bones cast off from Zion. O morning star, sing in dissonance, a verse for an onerous dawn. An aria in an oppressive key, atonal ringing in their sodden void. This guy is unbelievable. Basically, one of the things that you hear about a lot when people talk about the planet is like, the older generation is not going to experience the emergency that's one of the things with Al Gore. And I understand Al Gore, he made some crazy predictions. Everything was going to go up in smoke by 2012. And it was this big bombastic thing, and it enabled climate change deniers to go, so just completely, just all the other science and all the stuff that was true, we can now ignore because Al Gore made this crazy prediction, right? So is the 11th hour, I think Leonardo DiCaprio had a documentary as well, and so. But one of the things that gets talked about a lot to the older generation is like, you guys aren't going to experience it, but your kids are.
Yeah.
So here, if you look,
kids,
infants to scale the peaks of refuge.
Yeah.
Like that's all.
Oh, okay.
It's like this horrible dystopian future where these kids have to climb mountains of shit, basically, because we've so jacked up the planet.
Last threads of life.
Yeah, I was looking at. This Michael Moore documentary about, climate change and all that, and it was pretty terrifying. If I wasn't a Christian, I'd be pretty terrified, because basically one guy was saying the entire green movement and all that, it basically, the guy was saying it's too late, we've already crossed the threshold, and anybody who holds to this green stuff is just doing that so that they convince themselves of humanity's survival, because we're the only animals that know that we're going to die.
Oh gosh.
So that's what the guy was saying.
Yeah, we're the only ones wrecking it too. So
yeah, but
like the other animals are
basically the whole premise of the Michael Moore film, you should watch it, is that all the stuff that's there to save the planet or whatever is running on fossil fuels and clear cutting forests anyway. It's all whatever.
Yeah,
so.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I'd have to watch it to know, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. These guys, so I'm on their Facebook page right now. I just messaged one of them. Ashenspire is a collective of like-minded individuals dedicating creating music that recognizes how the atrocities of the past influence the vast inequality of the present, and how structures both physical and institutional are perpetuated to maintain relentless social stratification. It steadfastly opposes imperialism, fascism, and works toward a future where all people are clothed, fed, and sheltered, where bigotry cannot thrive in the face of a people educated in their culture's history, and where the laborer is more than just grist for the wretched mills. Right? So I think that part where I said workers' rights, I think that they're combining the workers' rights issues with what you're doing. It's kind of a double whammy, like these cruel people with their gold ringed fingers. Where'd it go? 1,000 years of cruel ringed fingers grasping in earnest. So it's like the dock workers are the crucified. They're on and their rivets pounding into arthritic palms. And it's basically like these guys are getting worked to death.
Yeah.
They're sacrificing their body for these kingpins at the top with their cruel ringed fingers. And, you know, so these guys get personified as Christ figures, basically. The regular workers personified as a Christ figure. And then then you got the fat cat up there. And then what's left is the kids are going to have to climb on this pile of refuse. And then he invokes the term morning star, singing dissonance, which is really interesting because that's the term for the devil in the Old Testament, right?
Yeah.
How you have fallen, son of the morning. Yeah, I think it's Cher Hallel or something like that. I forgot the Hebrew term for it. But basically it's a morning star, Venus, whatever you want to say it. And it's talking about an angel, a very mighty angel who fell because of, actually it says because of the violence of your trade. Because there's a correlation between the devil and the king of Tyre, and so there's a back and forth. The king of Tyre was an evil, greedy bastard, and he was also extremely violent. He oppressed the poor, and so there was I don't know how much these guys actually know
about
how close that was, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did, because these guys can write like crazy.
Yeah.
God Almighty. They see the lecherous twilight that daily caresses the sanctimonious, the voluptuous paunch of the pious, who gorge on doubt and faltering faith, who sell their extortions as sins forgiven and crack every bone for the marrow, to elucidate the thought of the industriarchs and set their gears a turning. So they just created a term, industriarchs, right? It's like like you talk about like the plutocracy, these people that are at the top of the industry, and then they're doing all this horrible thing. This, to me, this verse is talking about the correlation between religion and how religion doesn't fuel capitalism, but can justify capitalistic excess. So we talked about this. I forgot what it was, but it was one of my favorite songs. It actually got me emotional. I was surprised. It was about those guys who were protesting. Remember, it was about the guys that were protesting, and then one of them got beaten and killed, and they were working for like 2 cents a day or something, and then the priests would show up, and the priests would tell them that they were horrible and they should stop striking, they need to go back to work. So I think that right there is talking about the confluence of religion, the religious industrial complex, and how the religion is then used to serve capitalism. Right there it says, who gorge on doubt and faltering faith, who sell their extortions as sins forgiven, which is obviously talking about plenary indulgences in the Roman Catholic Church. I
totally thought this whole thing was about purgatory.
It could be. Spines under lock, binding the aberrant and the orthodox. Spiral staircase, sickly pale, as pretty as syphilis. There's no vindicating this. Give me strength, which is usually, that's what my mom used to say. God, give me strength to deal with this red boy. She's talking about me. She called me the red boy. Look, red boy. Yeah. I didn't know if she thought that was like an insult or what, but it never bothered me, Ma. As a matter of fact, Ma, I liked it. I liked it you called it, because you never called anybody else that.
So, leave it to you.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
See, that's where Johan is a lot like you. It's like,
100%.
It's like, how can you punish somebody who's completely okay with all the punishments?
You can't. There's nothing you can say to Johan.
I'm like, you're gonna be. I told him, I'm like, you're grounded, and he was like, okay.
We got to fight.
You're gonna be washing walls.
We got to fight. We got to fight in Fortnite. I said, you suck. He goes, okay, whatever. I'm better than you. I'm like, you're not better than me. He's like, no, I am. No, we just kept on playing.
He's 11.
So he's not better than me. He's good though. He's very good. He's a better builder than me, but I have a better strategy than him. He just goes,
He plays. He likes to have fun with it. He's emoting all in the middle of a battle.
He's always the first one that gets shot. So there's that.
Right.
He's always the first one down. So yeah, this is lyrically, man. Whoo! These guys are great. I'm a little sad because I don't think they're going to get a lot of. Hopefully, we get a lot of fans of this band, because I want to hear more from this stuff. But if not, in the interim, I'll just read. It'll be 5-6 o'clock. You'll punk out and go to sleep. So. Yeah, so I love this song. It was very, I just think that, people, we're in a Twitter world, 150 characters or less, now, people can't focus and pay attention, and I think a band like this is not going to get...
You have a hard time to get some burn.
Yeah, but you know, I don't get from these guys that they're trying to be famous or they're trying to be, you know, whatever. They have an agenda. And it's very rare that you'll see a band come out and say, look, this is our freaking agenda. This is what we're here to do. And you
Oh, look at this.
I respect the hell out of that.
Underneath their song here, it says, available for pay what you want download, and they have the link.
Yeah, and look, in recognition of the dock workers, lighthouse keepers, and arsenic eaters, subhanAllah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Speak not of the abuse of the laborer. And where's the singer? The singer's not even mentioned. Is that right there? Alistair Dunn, drums, and Sprexgesang. I'm assuming that's some. Yeah, maybe he's a singer. I don't know. Either way, I love these guys. Like, apparently they're black metal. This is black metal.
Really?
So, yeah, I don't know. I really like these guys. I really, really like them. It's the most, man, there have been some doozies as far as like most unique
Yeah.
types of bands, and this is one of them. Go ahead.
I just, I mean, I've already said it twice. When I first started the song, I'm like, what is this madness? I didn't like it at all. And then as it progressed, it kind of just sucked me in and forced me to love it. And then by the end, I was a big, don't rush me. You've been talking the whole video. What the f? So I'm like, yeah, by the end, I'm like, okay, I'm liking this. So it probably going with like a 9.6.
This is a 9 point.
Lyrically, I didn't understand it, but
9.9 for me.
I thought it was purgatory, so.
I don't know where you got purgatory out of it, but
Easy.
It's a 9.9 for me. Then out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. I'm going to get an interview with these guys.
kids. Stolen oars from slaves a world away. The painful